Hey foodies, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make Southern style smothered pork chops. Now there's so many different ways to make this recipe, but today I'm going to be showing you guys the easiest way. So let's get started. So for this recipe, I'm going to be using cooking wine, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of complete seasoning, a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of black pepper, and a teaspoon of creole seasoning. And that's all the seasonings that we're going to be using for the pork chop. I'm also going to be using a can of cream of mushroom soup, as well as 1 Maggi packet and a 1.5 cups of water. For this recipe, I use 5 center cut pork chops. Make sure you guys check the description box. I always leave the full recipe there. All right, so let's get started with these pork chops. So the first thing I'm gonna do is mix all those seasonings that I told you guys about earlier. And we're just gonna sprinkle all of that onto the pork chops and make sure you really get in there with your hands to make sure the seasoning is coated all over those pork chops. I don't know about you guys, but when I eat my pork chops, they have to be well seasoned. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and set that to the side. And I'm gonna pour some flour into a container, and we're gonna go ahead and season up that flour as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of complete seasoning. Yes, honey, you wanna make sure you season all layers of your food, especially pork chops, because those could be bland if you don't season them right. All right, so now I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of onion powder and 1 sazon packet, and then 1 teaspoon of creole seasoning. All right, so now you just wanna go ahead and mix that all together. And now we're gonna add in our pork chops. So instead of dipping both sides and getting flours all over my hand, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put all the pork chops in there, close the lid, and I'm just gonna shake it up until it's all mixed in there. This is a great, easy way to coat any meat with flour when you're about to fry it. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and shake off that excess and we could get to frying. All right, so I let my oil heat up and I'm just gonna go ahead and add in those pork chops. I'm only gonna add in 2 at a time. You really don't wanna overcrowd your pan because the temperature is gonna drop and it's gonna take longer for these pork chops to cook, and obviously we don't want that. So after about 5 to 7 minutes, depending on how thick your pork chop is, you wanna go ahead and flip that over. You also wanna make sure you use tongs and not a spatula like me. That way you don't have to worry about the oil splashing up on you. All right, so as you see, the pork chop is done, and honestly, you could eat it just like that and have you some fried pork chops. But today we're making smothered pork chops. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on a plate with some paper towel underneath, or if you have a cooling rack, you can use that instead. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add in my second batch, and we're just gonna follow those same steps. Also, guys, you wanna make sure that oil is between 325 degrees and 375 degrees. That way, the oil is not too low where it won't get crispy, and it's not too hot that it burns it. All right, so now that I'm all done with that, I removed all of the oil from the pan, and I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of butter, and I'm just gonna let that melt. Once that has melted, I'm gonna add in 1 medium-sized onion chopped up. And I'm gonna keep stirring that until that becomes translucent. Once it's translucent, I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1/4 of a cup of cooking wine, and then I'm gonna put up the heat to a medium, and I'm just gonna let that cooking wine cook off and reduce. All right, so once that wine has reduced, I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1.5 cups of water, and then I'm gonna take 1 Maggi bouillon cube and I'm gonna break that up. Once that is all broken up, I'm gonna stir everything in until that Maggi cube dissolves. So now I'm gonna add in about 2 teaspoons of thyme. Now, if you guys have the fresh thyme, use that instead. We all know fresh always tastes better. And I'm also gonna add in 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. And now we're gonna add in the cream of mushroom soup. And that's what's gonna thicken this all up, and it's gonna add in some more flavor. All right, so you just wanna go ahead and keep mixing this until it is a smooth consistency. If you're somebody that always tries to make a gravy and it always comes out clumpy, this is just a perfect hack for you. All right, so now you're gonna go ahead and add in those pork chops, cover those, and we're gonna let these simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes with the lid on. And let me tell you, that is gonna make these pork chops super tender. And they're just gonna be so flavorful. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up as well as leaving me a comment below. If you guys do decide to make these pork chops, I would love to know in the comment section below. I just love when you guys make my recipes and then tell me how they came out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.